I'm here in the archaeology lab at Ferry Farm, and I'm with Megan Budiger from the curatorial department and Elise Adams from archaeology, and we're going to be doing something a tiny bit wacky. I've got in front of me a rat's nest that was recovered from underneath the floorboards of the second story of Historic Kenmore, which was the house of Betty Washington, George Washington's sister, and today we're going to be picking it apart to see what's inside. So what I'm going to be doing here is just peeling off as many pieces as I can and handing them off to Megan and Elise just to sort of identify what we've got in this rat's nest. We've got a lot of newspaper. There's a lot of scraps of cloth. So here we've got a newspaper fragment for you. There's wood chips. That's poop. There we go. Got a nut that looks like it's been, let me see.
That's a chewed nut?
It's a chewed nut. Looks like a cherry probably. Oh, here we go. It's a good scrap of newspaper right there. There's this stick. Hey Megan, do you think this is possibly part of like a cane chair or something like that?
Yes, actually, I think that is a possibility.
Got part of a chair.
So that would be the reed, or, well, it's definitely not a rope, but possibly reeding that was woven to make a chair seat. It's very lightweight. You can kind of see the fibrous nature of it. And there appears to be some threads stuck to it as well. Hard to say whether those are from the chair or just from another rat deposit.
I've got September 6th, 1877.
Ooh, a full date.
This one. Yeah.
The only thing I have is we're talking about Christmas money, merchant state bank Christmas savings.
Ah, then I bet you have the other half of the piece I have.
Oh, yeah, it looks like it would fit.
Because mine says, yep,
Ah, cool. They fit.
I think they do. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, neato.
So, yeah, because mine says the Farmers Bank Christmas Savings Account, which is currently amounting to over $40,000, which will be mailed to somebody on December 10th.
The Farmers and Merchants State Bank existed in Fredericksburg at least around 1906. So between the scrap of newspaper that Mara looked at, dating from 1877, and this bank existing in 1906, we've started a date range for this rat's nest.
All right, what do you have over there, Elise?
I can go from least interesting to most interesting. This is just a piece of tree bark. So this is another piece of newspaper. Just looks like it's talking about daily events, things that are going on in different cities. And then this guy, it's a little cartoon, caricature maybe, kind of looks like Teddy Roosevelt, but we aren't quite sure because we only have the bottom of his head.
All right, it looks like this scrap of fabric, and it really is just a scrap, there's literally bites taken out of it, is some sort of heavy kind of dense weave canvas or like a really heavy muslin, probably like work shirt material, something along that. Could be an apparel fabric, could be maybe even an under upholstery fabric. So it's pretty basic. There's no pattern here or anything like that. Unfortunately, not much we can date. So we'll set that aside. But this piece, which is also literally just a scrap, because it too has a gigantic bite taken out of the middle of it. Yay, rats. This little piece has a definite decorative pattern on it. So it looks like basket weave, and then there's these little, I don't know what you call them, little doodads every so often. This is decorative, it's a finer weave. So this is definitely apparel fabric. So this is, somebody's skirt is made out of this, somebody's shirt is made out of this, maybe a neckerchief or something like that. And just judging by the really teeny tiny little pattern and the sort of dark burgundy red color. I'd say that's probably late 19th, early 20th century fabric.
So we have more newspaper here. Nothing really interesting on them, except this one does say 4th of July. Too bad we don't have a year on here. We also have more scraps of fabric. This one looks like it came out of a sewing kit or something like that. It's cut by scissors and chewed.
So like a trim piece, maybe?
Yeah. And then we've got this little folded piece. I don't know what exactly it was meant to be, but it's completely folded, obviously, by a person.
Yeah, rat didn't fold that.
They just stole it. It's got little crumbs in it. We
Rats
don't know what it
fold
is.
paper. Rats also don't usually tie knots. And this appears to be 2 pieces of twill tape or twine that have been tied in a knot. So this probably closed up a bag or something like that. But a rat came along and stole that. What this might actually be is upholstery webbing
Oh,
under a chair.
oh, cool.
So they would put long strips of this under the seat of a chair, kind of loosely woven together. And actually we still do that on chairs to this day. So I think that might be what it is, because some of it appears to be attached to stuffing. Over here, so we've got a little collection of fabrics. So this is more seat webbing fabric, a slightly tighter weave than the other one we were looking at, probably a little bit newer, more recent. And then we've got these 3 pieces of apparel fabric. So that's a little fragment of one of the larger pieces we found earlier. This is cute. This is what we call a ditzy pattern. It's white with purple flowers on it. So again, same time period, late 19th, early 20th century.
It's a great word,
Ditzy. Yes, that's we still use that today. Fabric patterns that are really tiny like that are often called ditzy. And then this is a much larger, this is a really badly degraded piece of fabric, but has a much larger pattern on it. You can only see one basically floral leaf of it. Looks like it might actually be a tobacco leaf or something. Much larger pattern. So again, I don't see anything there to say that it's from a different time period. So we're still kind of hovering around the turn of the 20th century here.
Late 19th, early 20th.
Exactly. Oh, and also this little thing. So this is just kind of interesting. At first glance, I thought this was some more upholstery webbing, but then we flipped it over and discovered there's a big hunk of leather actually stuck to it. So this is probably from some sort of leather upholstered seating furniture. So this is a couch, or could be a chair, could be your settee or your Davenport, or I could just keep listing all of the things that came in leather around that time period.
Whatever it was, the rat took a chunk out
But
of it.
whatever it was, the rat chewed away a corner of it.
So in this little chunk right here, it appears that we have a bunch of different types of thread and yarn. There's lots of long pieces of fabric in here that are all different. There's this one piece that's all tied together, so it's knotted. And then we've got smaller pieces right here. It doesn't look like much, and then when you take it apart, it's a lot of different things. Here's a nice piece of probably canvas again. And then we've got various colors of canvas. Got a nice white one right here.
All right, the only identifiable item out of this clump is this little section of paper, which I think proves that our local friendly rat had no shame. This appears to be a piece of Bible, which is identifiable by the words hath led and Lord. So don't know what verse, don't know what passage that is, but I think that's probably a little bit from a Bible page.
All right, well, we have pretty much picked this rat's nest apart.
Picked it clean.
Yeah, there's nothing really else new to talk about. Right in front of me, I've got a piece of tissue paper right there and a piece of paint. I think it's worth mentioning that there's nothing modern in this nest. There's no plastic, that nothing past the early 20th century. So it looks like we've got a range of dates from possibly, Civil War era up to maybe the early 20th century here, which is kind of surprising. I thought there would be some modern stuff mixed in, but no, looked like this rat's nest was done being built by the early 20th century. So who would have been living in the house during that time?
So that actually lines up pretty much exactly with the Howard family.
Oh.
They were the ones that resided in the house in the late 19th, early 20th century. And their eldest son, William Key Howard Jr., is the one responsible for the restoration of the ceilings.
Oh, very cool. So we
So there
should
you go.
call the rat Howie.
Sure. I think that'd be perfect.
We've got some really cool stuff. Lots of newspaper clippings, probably a couple dozen different types of fabrics.
Yeah, easily.
Ranging from, garment fabric, canvas, fabric, upholstery fabric, yeah. Part of a cane chair. Not as many nuts.
Yeah,
as
really.
there's not a lot of
Just
food remaining.
With might be the cherry pit and the chestnut.
Yeah, and some bone fragments, but I don't think this particular rat is dining in house very much. But yeah, this has been fun.
It has been
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Trash.
Yeah, we love trash.